All right, we are live and we are back. Man, it feels like it's been forever, Luke. Griz Nation, Fight on Montana is here back. We're going to do a season preview of finally football season. Feels like it's been for years. Adam Healy here with my co-host Luke Rounds. Thank you guys for listening. Hopefully we can give you some info and hopefully you guys can participate with us as well. We've got a lot to get caught up on. It's here, man.
Yeah, there's a whole lot to get caught up on since we were last on with some recruits. So
Yeah, and the last time we were on, you're exactly right. We had some recruits on that probably now are there. Probably won't see any time, but wow, time flies, man, when you're having fun this summer. But how was your summer, Luke?
I had a great summer. Lots of camping and stuff, and I actually went up and spent some time in Montana, south of Glacier and the Bob Marshall. So
Nice.
I can't wait for football to start this Saturday, though.
Oh,
That's the one nice thing. When summer starts getting over, at least we got Griz football to look forward to.
exactly. Yeah, I had a good time. We spent a week in Michigan, right on the Lake Michigan. So it was good times. But yeah,
Nice.
exactly. School is in session, and so we are back with football season. So hey guys, just get you caught up. Luke and I were just talking about the captains were selected and they were announced. You got Levi Janicaro, you got Forbes, Walker, Hill, and Cotton named as those captains. I don't see any of them that I disagree with. And so
Well, and it was, I guess I was reading on Twitter, they said it was voted on by the team tonight,
that's awesome.
and that's who decide. That's who should decide it. So
Exactly.
I like that when the team decides. So
Exactly. Some major points to get to these preseason accolades. Chris Walker made the Senior Bowl list. Dude, that guy coming off the bus is just a monster.
Yeah.
Hopefully he has a great year and can make it onto the NFL, which is an awesome story.
They had him today at the press conference with Bobby, and man, he's wearing his little short sleeve shirt. And it's just like, gee, just a massive man.
Straight out of the log chopping, man.
We're lucky that he came back for one more year. I'm very pleased that he came back. So
exactly. Janicaro was announced as the 37, which I really like. Janicaro, he's a good guy. So Bergen was named the preseason All-Thon All-American. Hopefully he can stay healthy, which that's tremendous upside. And then 5 Griz were named to the preseason Big Sky list. Hunter McGinnis was the first team for the offensive line. Alex Gubner, first team for defensive line. Levi Janicaro was first team for linebackers. And then you've got 2 special teams, Junior Bergen as the punt returner specialist, and then Trevin Gradney as the special teams, which I was really surprised that he got on there, but he did show a lot of upside on special teams last year. So they're really pumped up about him on the defensive side this year. So
yeah, he'll make an impact for sure.
Exactly. Also, guys, if you haven't seen, we had a flow of transfers in. So getting to some of the transfers that you probably will see. Jelani Warren was a cornerback out of UCLA. Lucas Pendergrast was a wide receiver out of Nevada. You probably won't see him since our wide receiving crew is a little deep. And I believe he's like a sophomore. So I think you probably will be waiting to see him. Hopefully I'm saying his name right. Eric Austin, the linebacker from UCLA. Clifton McDowell, which you're going to probably see a lot more of, just what he's a QB from Central Arkansas. He was also at La Tech. He's probably going to be the run specialist for our quarterback crew. Matai Mataafa, defensive line. I've been practicing that, so
you said it well.
so I've been really practicing that. So I should get some props there, guys. Defensive line from Mississippi State. And heart goes out to him and his family. If you guys can support him, GoFundMe. His family lost their home, and thankfully his brother was able to rescue his parents and stuff. Yeah. So if you guys can, definitely go support that family, Griz Nation, and support him. So
both him and then Johnny Verona, who was there when I was there. His family they lost their home too. So
Man,
both of them, a lot of people have been donating, which is really nice.
That's
Griz
awesome.
Nation stepping up. So
awesome. Grant Glasgow, a kicker from Kansas, and then Travis Benham, punter from San Jose State.
Yep.
Those are
I believe he's going to be our starting punter too.
Yeah, and I heard Glasgow's been making some really good headway in the kicker.
At the press conference, Bobby said he'd be the starter as of right now. So
yeah. Well, that's crazy with Ramos being there too. So
yeah.
So we'll get to all that. But man, Luke, I wanted to get to the schedule and see what your thoughts were on this, guys. You're gonna, there's probably people out there that are gonna have their disagreements and everything. There are some things that we need to point out that could be looming, that could be beneficial, and not beneficial for them. You've got Butler this weekend. The Butler Bulldogs out of I believe the Pioneer League. They are
Pioneer.
Yep, they were I think they finished 4th in their conference.
They're like 7-2 last year. They didn't. They lost the last 2 games. And didn't. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe it was 7-2 in conference, but they lost their last 2 games and didn't make the playoffs. So
yeah, and they didn't even make the playoffs because I think St. Thomas was like 8-0 in their conference, and they were like 5-3. So
and generally the Pioneer puts 1 team in because they're non-scholarship. So
non-scholarship. Yep. Then we go at Utah Tech, which that's going to be an interesting game just because they're in the WAC. We also have Panfilov, I believe, came from there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Cannon. Offensive line. Yeah. And so that's going to be interesting to see. And it's at, Utah Tech. So that'll be an interesting away game.
They're like, who's Utah Tech, formerly Dixie State.
There you go.
So
there you go. And we played them in what was it, 2021?
I think, yeah. Something like that. A couple of years ago we played them, yeah.
Yeah. Then after that game, we will play Ferris State, which if you guys have not seen Ferris State, they are 2-time defending national champions. Didn't a while back, didn't they kind of like call out Montana for not playing them and stuff? Didn't they do that?
I don't know if it was them. It was one of the D2 schools.
One of the D2 schools that were.
I don't know if it was. I think it was Bemidji State when.
Oh, okay, yeah.
One of them.
So one of the states.
Yeah.
And then you got at Northern Arizona, Idaho State. You've got 2 hard road games at UC Davis, and then at Idaho. Yep. You got Northern Colorado, a revenge game at Sac State.
They're at home.
At home.
Yeah, Sac State's at home.
Oh yeah, at home. Sorry, at home with that one, and then at Portland State, and then Bobcats.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at that, Luke, what are your first thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I personally feel like we should be 5-0 going into the UC Davis game. My feelings. So, the out of the first 5, the 2 games I would say that make me most nervous are probably Ferris State, just because they got nothing to lose, and that would just make their season if they beat us. And those teams can be scary. Yep. And then Northern Arizona, because I think they got they have the most number of transfers, like 28 or some obscene number of FCS transfers. Now, whether that'll translate or not, I doubt it. But still, it's Northern Arizona.
At Northern Arizona.
In their dome, it's way the heck up there. So, we'll see. But I really think, though, that we're going to be 5-0 coming to that Davis game. And that's going to be our first really big test, is Davis on the road at night. So,
well, and UC Davis is going to come into that game with a little chip on their shoulder because they didn't win 7 games, but they were probably had the best loss, which a 2-point deficit defeat against South Dakota State, which if you watch that game, it was pretty even. And
if they would have had 4 more minutes, they'd have won that game.
They would have won that game.
Yeah.
And they probably should have won that game without some of the stupid stuff that had happened in that game. And then the Idaho game on ESPN2. Recently, we haven't played too great on those since we've joined with the ESPN on those games. And they have the Stein, man. They have the Brown Stein, and that's killing. That kills me.
About that, though, I think our boys are going to be hungry to go get that back because I mean, we lost that game last year.
Oh, yeah, we did.
I didn't feel like, I mean, it was just like we just kept making mistake after mistake after mistake, and we had every chance to win that game, and we just let it go. So it'll be interesting to see how we show up for that one.
Well, and it's just like, okay, are we okay with a split? Like, those are two hard games.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard. I could see us. We're gonna. I mean, to take my maroon glasses off, we'll probably give up one of those games. So.
I would be okay with a split. Now, if you go 0-2 in those, that's some gut check time.
It makes it hard too, because the Ferris State game, even though they're a good D2 school, we win that game. Even if we win it by 50, let's say, it doesn't mean anything because it's D2. So
it only means something if we lose it.
Yeah, exactly. That's
and so right. A lot of people are going to say, why do you schedule that game? We schedule that game because we have to have a home game. Yeah. Like it's all the money part of that, where you have to have a home game to pay all the different things in the sports department. You have to have a home game.
Obviously, we couldn't find another non-conference FCS team that would come play us.
Yeah,
people don't want to come play at Washington.
No,
so
no. So I think that you kind of do that kind of thing. UNC, they're going to be vastly improved. I think just having a competent coach in there with Lamb in there, I think is going to drastically improve. And they've got talent. They've got some talent in that team that you have not seen. I just really think that the chemistry and that whole department was just affected by who was coaching and how they were coaching.
It was a bit of a mess down there. So I mean, they will be improved. I still think that should be an easy win for us.
Yeah. The Sac State game, I still think that they're a really good team. I think, they've got a quarterback coming in that we faced a couple years, or I think it was last year with Camp. That was an okay quarterback. They've got a great running back in Fulcher, I think his name is. Yeah. And, they've got a good line. They've had a pretty good defense, even though it didn't show out against Incarnate Word last year. I still think that they're going to be, either 2 through 6 are going to be a coin flip, I believe. You've got Montana State at the top, and then, you've got Idaho through UC Davis that
Weber State.
Weber State
this year, and Sac State and us. They're kind of
that it's just a coin flip. It just depends on where you're playing and who's hurt, who's not hurt, and so.
Well, and I'm real interested to see how Sac State does this year personally, because their new head coach, former Griz Andy Thompson, who was there when I was there, and Andy's a great guy, and so I'm rooting for him when we're not playing him, but I really hope we beat him over there, because the last time he was here, he beat us too. So he was just an assistant, but Andy's going to have him ready.
Yeah,
I mean, he knows the environment, knows how everything works here, so that's going to be a heck of a game, and it's under the lights. So I'm excited for that one. And we want some dang revenge. So we're after last year's controversy at the end of the game, and Lucas getting knocked out, and so there's going to be some popping going on in that one.
Exactly. Well, and if you wanted the night games, they're totally getting the night games this year with 6 night games on the schedule.
He's got to be pissed.
Oh, I know, right?
When I saw that, I was like, "Oh yeah, Bobby's pissed because he hates night games."
So Luke, as a player, former player, how is that going into those games? And you're used to doing your business during the day. How is that? How hard is that to get used to?
So, like when I was there, we didn't have any home night games because we didn't have lights yet.
Yeah.
So the only ones we really ever have was like we were on the road in Sac State and some of those, and it's just a lot of waiting. It's just like, so you're trying to do a lot of walkthroughs and things like that. But otherwise, you try to keep it as same as possible throughout the day. But it's just that come on, let's go play. That's exactly why Bobby doesn't like night games, because you're just like, let's go get this done. Because everybody's juiced to play and stuff, and you gotta wait.
Yeah.
But I get why. I mean, those night games are good for recruiting. The fans like it, so it's just one of those things we got to accept and do, especially because we're in that, with the ESPN deal, we're in that West Coast time zone, so they're going to put us on the night. So,
looking at that schedule, Luke, what's your prediction for the schedule? What do you think?
6. 9-2, 8-3.
Okay.
That's where I think we're going to be, because there's a couple of those coin flip games.
Yeah.
The Idaho game probably scares me a lot. That and the Davis game, and then there's that other game at the end of the year against the neighbors that, I'm actually going to be at this year, so they better win the damn thing.
Awesome. The last time I was at Missoula, they won that game. So against the Cats. So I totally agree with you. I think 8-3, 9-2. I totally agree with you. That Idaho game kind of scares me. I think they'll pull off that UC Davis one. And then the last game.
So the last time we played, I don't remember, was the last time we played at Davis or what it was. They were like number 3, and we went down there and spanked them.
Yeah. Well, that was at home. Wasn't that at home?
No, we went down there and just
okay.
rolled them. And so I'm like, we can do it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they're getting a lot of credit because of their quarterback too, which fine and dandy. He did well, and Hawkins is a good coach, but they're also losing their offensive coordinator, which Hawkins was going to Idaho State. So that'll be interesting to see how that affects them too.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Like you said, this year last year, so many Big Sky coaches bolted, for other levels and stuff. And so it'll be interesting, the Idaho State job, the Weber State job, Sac State.
Yeah.
Who else left?
Did you see the picture at Big Sky Media Days where like half the people were, I was like, who is that? Like,
right. Yeah.
They did take like a head coach photo. I was like, okay. So, guys, let's go into the offensive returning starters. What was great about the Griz is you have your starting line coming back, which that is awesome just because of the continuity that line has to have communication wise and just know with all of what goes into that particular spot, which they're going to have to live up to the hype because they're getting hype where they're saying, hey, they could be, top 3, top 4 in the league, which, that's probably what, top 10 maybe and I'm not trying to boast the Big Sky, but probably top 10.
It could be. Yeah.
Top 10 in the whole FCS.
Yeah.
But, we've been waiting for this to happen. Waiting for them to take that next step. Mm-hmm. They've got some big guys. You got going from left to right. You got Chris Walker on that side. He's been getting a lot of hype. Hunter McGinnis has been getting a lot of hype. AJ Forbes is one of the guys that I think people do not look at, that he does a whole lot more than people.
He's the quarterback of that offensive line.
Exactly. And then Journey Grimsrud, if he can continue to develop. And then Brandon Casey,
he's going to be a breakout this year, Grimsrud. I think he's really going to shine this year. So,
yep. And then if you go, which is awesome, if you go off of that, who do you have backing up? And that's what our whole thing was the last couple of years is who backs them up, right? Yeah. Who can spot in? Well, now you've got Cannon Pamphilov, the transfer from Utah Tech. You got Dylan Botner. You've got Colin Dreiss. You've got Lucas Freitas, and that guy is a freshman, and I kid you not, 6'6", 312 as a freshman.
Yeah.
That is a man-child. You've got Liam Brown, which he was the starter last year until he hurt his ankle, and Grimsrud just took the job.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to say his name wrong, Kalui Lincoln, 6'5", 285, and all his deal was he couldn't put on weight. He put on like 35 pounds over the summer. He's big enough to, I think, play tackle or guard and center. So you've got some guys that can play.
I mean, everything I keep hearing is that our twos, you could almost just rotate them in, that they're ready.
Yep.
Like that's, the whole line keeps talking about. People I've talked to watch practice, they look good. So, I really think that we have. This is going to be one of the best old lines that we've had in a long time. So now they just have to prove it.
Yep.
If they are that good, we should be able to go out to Butler and just pound it if we want to.
Yeah.
Especially with the running back room we got too. I know you're talking about in a minute, but geez.
Yeah. Well, and we'll go into Butler as well, but they're not. They're a non-scholarship school. You're not going to get big guys. So we should have some type of an advantage there. But like you said, Luke, can this group put it together? Can they get over that hump to be great? They've been good to okay. To be able to go to that next level, we've got to have an offensive line. You're battling, and it's sickening for me to say, you're battling great teams that have great offensive lines and defensive lines. And that's what South Dakota State, North Dakota State, and now the Cats, that's what has gotten them to that point too, is that they have great lines on both sides. They win the trenches.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what, Bobby was known for before on the first end. So I'm hoping that this is finally that thing, because these are all, I was reading somewhere on that. These are all his recruits now. These are these seniors and stuff. These are his guys. So it's time for them to show out. So
yeah, exactly. So hey guys that are watching us live, if you guys have any questions, we do have some questions on eGriz, and we do have some questions coming in from the live feed as well. We'll get to your questions at the end. So thank you for participating in this. We'll get to them at the end. So don't leave us. We'll get to those. So Luke, we're just going to go into the QB room. This is the area where it gets the most, the most hype, the most attention, because it's the biggest position.
Yeah.
And we lost Lucas last year to graduation. And you've got a lot of guys in there that we did have some transfer out, and we did have some transfer in.
Yep.
So guys, just give you kind of a look in. We did have Sam Vidlak, which is an amazing story. He committed right out of high school to play for the Griz.
Yep.
And when he first committed, I told one of my best friends, I'm like, dude, you should go watch his tape. He is legit. Like, I'm surprised we're getting him. And I shouldn't have said that, because like a couple weeks later, Oregon State offered him and he accepted, and he was there to be closer to family because he's from Oregon. Didn't work out, couldn't get on the field, transferred to Boise State. They had a freshman, I believe, there that kind of took over the job last year, and he wasn't going to get the time. So thankfully, he transferred to Montana, I believe, in the winter, and did winter conditioning.
Yep.
Played really, really well in the spring game. Was really impressed by him. And then, has been, doing one-on-ones with all the receivers and stuff like this year, and meeting with all the offensive line guys. So really, really impressed. Great spring game leader coming out. He's an older guy. He's already married. And so that's kind of unusual too. The next one that we got coming in, Clifton McDowell. He is a big guy, dude. 6'4", 225. Yeah, fast. Has that running ability. I have a acquaintance on the network that's a Central Arkansas fan, and he's not buying into him. You couldn't see the field in Central Arkansas, so he's not doesn't think that he's going to garner the attention that we should have. I don't think he's going to be our starting quarterback. I think they're going to have packages where they're going to want him to run the ball, and kind of like going back to University of Florida, where they had the when Tim Tebow was there his freshman year, where they had the two quarterback system. Because Sam is a littler guy, but he has an arm, and I really don't think you really want him taking hits like that.
Right.
Being a pocket passer. And then you've got Chris Brown. He's gotten the experience. I feel bad for the guy because he's an ultimate team guy. I don't think he's really been put in a position where they've ran the system that is good enough or for his talents. And I know that people will say, well, good players, just take the reins and do what they need to do. But I think he's a great teammate, great team guy, has the ability. He can throw a ball beautifully. It's just, can he translate to the field?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see.
Well, I really think it's down to basically Clifton and Sam.
Yeah.
And I mean, whether Bobby's telling the truth during the press conference or not today, he said that they're not going to name a starter. They both have to earn it, and they're both going to play this weekend. The fact that it's Butler, I'm hoping that they do both get to play and get experience and stuff. But I agree with you. I think that what it's more going to be is we'll have packages for Clifton because of his running abilities. Got to see some highlights on some of the Instagram videos of him running and stuff. The guy's got some speed, so why not take advantage of that? But I mean, the things I've heard about Vidlac and the ball he throws, it's like we haven't had that in a long time. So, so hopefully, I really think that in the end, Vidlac will be our starter. But I think they're going to use both of them at times, depending on what the defense gives us. So,
well, and I want them to use Clifton for running just because I don't want to see Zan get hurt.
Yeah, well, that's every year. It seems like our people. I mean, Snead, as tough as he is, he got hurt. It's just like it's been years since we had a quarterback make it through the whole season. So,
I believe the last one was like Jordan Johnson. Like
I think you're right. I think it was JJ. It was the last one that actually made it
through a whole season.
Yeah,
and that's nuts. That's been what, 12 years?
Yeah,
that is nuts. So like you said, I totally agree with you. It depends on what we run. It'll be interesting to see what we run, how different it's going to be. And we didn't go over this. The coaching changes. I think everyone knows the coaching changes, but they've brought in a couple new people, but a lot of it was just, mix and match, right?
Yeah. I mean, the big ones are Pease to offensive coordinator and Ronnie Bradford to DC. That's the two big flips. So then everybody's wondering, is it still going to be a 3-3-5 all the time? Or are they going to mix things up? Or, I mean, the thing is,
we'll go on that in the defensive side, because there's some things in the defensive side of the ball that I just don't think, and you'll probably get into that too, but the offensive side, Pease, like you said, Luke, is the guy.
Brent's great. I was so excited when I heard that. I mean, I really like Brent. So he can bring a lot to the table, and I think he will. And I know that from what I've heard, the receiver room's pumped about it. Quarterbacks are excited for it. Everybody's kind of rejuvenated with Pease being the OC. So it'll be nice to see what he brings to the table this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, going into the running back room, Luke, you mentioned it. This is our stable, right? You look at the running backs and the wide receivers, and you're like, good Lord, like what? That they're growing on trees. You've got Nick Osmo. That snow game just is like imprinted in my head, where he just ran for like 200 and some yards. Leading rusher coming back, was hurt at the end of the year. Xavier Harris has that amazing ability. He did a lot of great things when we beat Washington. The defense did amazing, but the offensive side of the ball, he really did some things in that game that really elevated us and saved us.
I really think you get him out in space and watch out. I mean, he can catch the ball real nice, and just he's an X factor. So.
Yeah, exactly. And if he can stay healthy, get him the ball. And the guy that probably Griz Nation loves, and we had here on the podcast, Eli Gilman. I am so glad that we got him away from North Dakota State, because he if you go back and watch that episode, he wants to beat North Dakota State. It is personal to him. They kind of did not do their due diligence with him, and he is a man-child. Has the full package. Had some great glimpses in the end of the year last year, where wasn't it like his first rushing temp was a touchdown?
Yeah, it was.
Like how can that get any better than that?
I
was like, wow, okay. And then the one that doesn't get talked about, which I think is probably the most complete running back that I think is not getting enough credit, is Isaiah Childs.
Yeah, Childs.
He's like the utility knife of running backs, where he'll do anything. He can come out into the flat. He can block for you. He is super aggressive, and he looks for people to hit. And he did amazing down the stretch as well. It's just, how are you going to use four running backs?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can guarantee that we're always going to be fresh. It's like, and like with Childs, I got the pleasure to sit next to his family in Northern Colorado when we were down there a couple years ago, and he's so pumped to be here, and his family is excited to be here, and he just wants that chance. And it's like, oh my gosh, you're right. I mean, we got so much talent there that we gotta get them out on the field and use them in different situations and just
Well, like last year,
we can just use them to stay so fresh that it's just like the defenses don't even know what's going on because everybody's got fresh legs.
Well, last year, that first game, they did the double T, running backs, and then they never used it again. And I'm like, right? What? Like, what? Why?
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know why we never did that again. So.
And I don't know what your thought is on this, Luke. I'm of the thought where you have to, and this is just my opinion, and people are going to not like it, but you've got to be able to kind of have a lead back. You can't just split reps after rep after rep because, it takes a while to get into a groove as a running back. You just don't automatically just get a handoff and run for a touchdown. That doesn't happen. It takes you a while to read what the defense is going to give you, what hole you got to shoot, and all that stuff. So, last year they kind of played, who was hot, but I think that kind of lessens the burden of who gets the carries and who gets hot.
The line gets used to the back that's back there and stuff and how they're blocking because each of them hit the hole differently and stuff. And so they get used to who's back there. So, but I mean, they're so different. Like, I think we could use, Xavier is more of that running out to the flat, catching passes and stuff, where Osmo and Childs are much more between the tackles, get them going and stuff. So, and then Gilman, same thing. I mean, he can pound it, but he can get out there too. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I still think Osmo's our guy that's going to get the majority of the carries in my feeling, but we'll see how they use them all because it's hard not to use them when you got so much talent there. And because if you don't, you have to worry of someone leaving too, and you don't want any of that happening. So,
well, and that's what kind of what happened last year. I think it was hush hush, but Marcus Knight leaves. Now he's at Tennessee Tech.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
After
he left, came back and played the lacrosse for us.
Lacrosse, yep.
And then now I think he's at Tennessee Tech is where he's at, I believe.
Yeah. Right. So it's going to be interesting to see just because I think that who can stay healthy too. That's going to be something that is going to be really important.
That's a spot where it's hard to. I mean, you get so banged up. So I feel fortunate we have so many guys. And I don't want anybody to get hurt, but it's football. Someone's going to get banged up. So
Yep. So, that is the kind of question for me, who's going to have that breakout year. I think that we've got a great coach. And I think that because of those players, we've got great talent there, but we've got a great coach in Green that is developing that room as well.
Absolutely.
And so it's very fortunate for us. But, the other room that I'm kind of excited about is the wide receiver room, man.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the second biggest room that we have that is legit is the wide receiver room. You got Keelan White, Junior Bergen.
Yep.
You got Ryan Simpson, Sawyer Riccanelli, Aaron Fonts, and those are just the ones that you kind of know. You've also got Nick Williams. You've got some other guys that are in there as well. Keelan White is that ultimate wide receiver that you can go to, right? The sure hands.
Yeah.
None of these guys have had to be that go-to guy. Now, I totally think that Aaron Fonts can be that go-to guy, which he should be getting, and Junior Bergen should be getting at least 6 touches a game, if not more.
I still think last year Bergen didn't get enough touches at all. I mean,
no,
that guy needs to touch the ball a lot.
How many catches did he have? He had 14, 19, something like that.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. He was so underutilized last year that I think it's gonna be a lot different this year though. I think they've got a lot of stuff going with him, and I also think Ryan Simpson could be breakout this year.
Yeah,
I mean that mismatch that he has.
Oh yeah,
with Vidlak pinpointing that ball, I think that could be huge for us,
especially in the red zone, man. I know
why
that,
not take advantage of
exactly.
that?
We'll get Nick Williams on the other side, get Ryan Simpson on that side. They're both 6'4". I think Ryan Simpson's 6'6".
Yeah, he's 6'6" according to the program.
Exactly. Just go in there and lob the ball up, and I don't know. That room is going to be a whole lot of playmakers. I think Aaron.
Yeah, they got Nick Williams at 6'5". So
yeah, it's just you're happy if you have one of those guys. Now you have 2 of them.
Yeah,
And Aaron Fonts, I think, is a big playmaker. You've got to get those playmakers.
He's a playmaker for sure. So,
and Sawyer Riccanelli, I've heard from accounts from Washington beat reporters and stuff like that he was a good wide receiver before he got hurt last year with his knee. Sure. We'll see how he returns from that. But man, that room, it's scary depending on what we run, right? Yeah. Offensive, depending on if we can get the ball out to those wide receivers. All you got to do is, if you're the quarterback, is just get it to your playmakers. That's all you have to do.
Well, and with our O-line this year, they should have some good protection. So it's like, that's it. Our offense is, I'm excited for it to see what we can do. And then again, with Pease coming on, to see how he changes it and stuff, and just how we can get the ball to our playmakers, because that's the key. Is just, we've got so much talent. Get them the ball and just let them go play.
But and Griz Nation, there's some people that are gonna, and we say that, and we said it last year, right? Pretty much to the same account. And I really truly, not anything against the coaches, but I truly think that the coaches had a part in the team not doing as well as we could have. I think there was a lot of things that happened that kind of strong held the team from being what they could have been. If it was play calling, if it was, a lot of different things. Yeah, who knows and we're not going to know those things. But I think if we can kind of get that under wraps, and we can get the playmakers the ball, I think we could be a really good team, top 10 team.
Oh yeah. Well, it feels to me like we have that offense now we would have loved to have last year. That's going to help keep the defense off the field, because they can sustain drives and just keep that. And that's going to be key this year, is giving the D a rest, so that you're not just relying on them to, hold you in games and stuff. So,
well, and I think that the offense is going to have to do a whole lot more than they did. We are going to have a good defense. Is it going to be as great as it was? That
time will tell with that.
Only time will tell, because there's a couple areas that I'm kind of worried about, and we'll get into our defensive areas that we're going to get into. But, there are some guys that people don't know about that are going to be good, that you're going to be like, holy cow, wow. Yeah. And so, one thing that kind of is disheartening is the tight end group. We lost Cole Grossman, which you don't want to lose a guy, but losing a guy like that who could open up the field like that is just it's a huge blow. Because I was so excited to see Grossman and Fonz and Bergen, and then our running back crew just have that type of an offense. It's sad. Hopefully he heals up quick, and that we can see him next year. Yeah. I know he's kind of voiced that over his Twitter feed as well.
Yeah, he did.
So
I have been hearing some really good things from camp about this Evan Schaefer that we got.
Oh, really?
6'5", 278. Yeah.
Yep. Out of Hillsdale College.
I'm excited to see what he can do. He's a junior. Yep. So, I've heard a lot of good things there.
Well, I've heard Schaefer and then Joseph Gresmack, the two transfers that we got, Lewisburg JUCO out of North Carolina, and then Evan Schaefer is out of Hillsdale College. Mm-hmm. I've been hearing some really great things about Jake Olson as well, the Butte kid, 6'7", 254.
Yeah.
That he is, lightning in a bottle. He's got that kind of that long, lanky frame, but also he's got the weight on him too. And then you've got Eric Barker, who's 6'4", 245. He's had more experience on the special teams, where I just remember him during that James Madison game getting that personal foul at James Madison. He was like, what? Yeah. You've got those four guys. I think you're going to probably, hopefully, maybe use two of those guys, because, the Grizzlies like to use that.
This year,
in the past, use the double.
They changed it up too on how that's coached. You got Germer coaching the interior, and then Fenn coaching the exterior all together, and the tight ends and tackles are together. And as we've known in years past, as a tight end, you're a blocker. You're basically in their lineman first before you go catch balls. So, and Grossman was a little different than that because of his talent. Yep. But with these guys' size, it's like having another old lineman out there.
Exactly,
big boys. So it'll be exciting to see how we use the tight end this year.
Well, and the Grizzlies used to, always run that two tight end scheme. So it'll be interesting to see what they do that with that. And it also, when they were starting to kind of announce that they were going to do that, not many teams do that. I know that Florida, and I think we mentioned it earlier in one of the podcasts that we did, Luke. I think Florida does that, but there's not too many schools that have 2 offensive line coaches that do that.
Yeah.
So, man, I would love to just go see a practice that I can actually go and watch the offensive line coaches and how they do that, because that's interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
And then also, they lost Elwell this offseason as well with injury. I think he kind of just stepped away from the program as well. So kind of low in the tight end group. That's why they brought in those 2 transfers to hopefully kind of fill a hole and fill a void, and hope that Barker and Olsen that were in the program can kind of jump up. And hopefully we can find lightning in a bottle and see if we can get those guys. So, defensive. You want to go into the defensive side of the ball, Luke?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, and you were mentioning it, Luke, the big talk of the town the last couple of years, especially after the North Dakota State game, especially after the Cat game, where we, I think it was like 900 some yards that we got obliterated on is the 3-3-5 worth playing? Is it going to survive?
So my opinion right now is, because I know we're thin on the D line, is that we're going to still see the 3-3-5, because we have a lot of linebackers, we have a ton of safeties, and because of that, and because we're thin on the D line, it actually helps us being thin on the D line to run the 3-3-5, where you're taking a linebacker and put them down. So because of that, if we weren't so thin on the D line, then maybe, we might see some 4-3 action and stuff, but I still think the 3-3-5 is going to be our base defense, just because of the personnel we have. Simply because of that. I mean, it kind of forces our hand to keep running that.
I totally agree. If you look at defensive line, if you look at the roster, you go in and you have 3 different things. You have defensive line, you have defensive end, and then you have 1 defensive tackle. Sorry, my nose is itching. You've got Governor, who is the defensive tackle.
He's Governor's one of the best American D tackles in the entire FCS. I mean, the guy could probably be playing at the FBS level. So we're fortunate to have him, and he's one of the best. But you can't play every snap,
Exactly.
So it's like
we lose Alfred.
I just don't. I mean, it's just not possible. That's why our offense, keeping the defense on the field, off the field, is going to help us a ton this year if they can do that.
Yeah, you lose Alfred to graduation. You're looking at Noah Cashmitter, Henry Noose, Jared Ramos, and Kellen Diedrich to kind of fill that defensive line spot, I think. And correct me if I'm wrong, Luke. Noah Cashmitter is 6'3", 245. Jared Ramos is a redshirt freshman. He's 6'4", 265. Kellen Dietrich is 6'3", 245. Henry Noose is 6'4", 241. And so you're looking at in Governor, you go from Governor and you're like, dang, he's what, 6'3", 280 something. And so like you look at the weight difference and you're just like, well, Ramos, is that second weight guy, but he doesn't have probably the experience that you would like. But other than that, you don't have any of those other guys that have had experience.
Matai from Mississippi State, he's only listed at 230.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw an interview with him. I was like, boy, I thought he was bigger.
Yeah.
So the one guy that I wonder about too is Edwards. I mean, he's a big boy, 6'5", 35. Has he put on some more weight? I mean, have they updated the weight on here a little bit? I don't know. I never trust the weights on here either way. So
it's what we got. It's what we got.
Yeah. So I mean, but the other thing is we got some speed over there. You're hoping with guys that are a little lighter that they have the extra speed. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I still think we have a good D line, and old Governor is still one bad man over there. So plus our linebacker core is really good. Yeah. I mean, we say at linebacker we just reload every year, it seems like. And it's we got our two captains, Jenna Currow and Hill, right there, our linebackers, and then you've got a whole bunch of other ones that are going to be rotating through there. So hopefully they can help fill the holes and make up for maybe are lacking on the D line.
Well, and you said it, Luz, like to be able to play the 3-4, right? The 3-4-3 or whatever you want to say it is. You would have to have another defensive tackle. To even play a 4-3, you'd have to have another defensive tackle inside.
Especially 4-3.
Yeah, so, we don't have that.
The 3-4 you could get away with Gubbs playing nose and the D ends.
Yep.
And then 4 linebackers out there. But so we'll see. I really think I know many people are like, oh, we got to get away from that 3-3-5. I just don't, because of what we have on that side of the ball on the line and stuff. I don't see us getting away from it.
Well, and the other side that people don't really talk about is in those games, we did not get off blocks.
Yeah.
And I'm not throwing the linebackers under the bus, but, our front did a good job where they held the line, and, the linebackers are supposed to come in and fill the holes. We missed a lot of tackles where one of those tackles, we had them down and then they ran for a touchdown. And so, doing arm tackles and finishing tackles and also just getting off blocks.
Yeah, because that's up in the wash. They got to get off,
And that's our specialty is we have a lot of guys that are quick, agile guys. That's what we have. We've got to use that to the best of our ability. Yep, when we face these next 3 teams that are in the top 3, we're going to have to do something different. We're not going to and that's what was hard last year is we tried to play the same way. We can't play that way with those teams that have great offensive lines. It's just not going to work unless you are on your game and you're hitting those holes and you're getting off blocks and you are faster than them and they can't even catch up.
Yeah. Well, hopefully with our deep linebacker room this year, that helps us a lot more.
Yeah.
And we got to, I don't know how many safeties we got. We got a ton of safeties on the
team.
We
have a lot of safeties. So, seriously, I hope that they can kind of get away. Like I'll be honest with you guys. I'm not a big fan of the 3-3-5. It's great to watch against lesser opponents. Yeah, and it's really
there's
fun.
Certain teams it works really well against.
Oh yeah,
and there's teams like North Dakota State that just.
Then you're like, oh my gosh! But hopefully they can get some recruitment. Maybe get rid of some of the linebacker, or not the linebackers, but safeties, and kind of get some more defensive line guys in there. It's just kind of, and I'm not going to say it's kind of hard to find those guys because other people are finding those guys. Right. Like that's one of the things that has bugged me is the coaching staff. Well, it's hard to find, those big guys. Well, that's not true because I know Montana State can find them. Yeah. I know that other teams in the Big Sky can find them. I just think that we need to make a decision and a commitment to find those guys and go after that kind of
guys that are big frames that we could put some weight on too that could become D linemen. I mean, I know a lot of DNs turn into D tackles and stuff, because they all of a sudden, let's put some weight on you and get you into that D tackle spot.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see, who plays where and how they rotate guys through and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned, defensive end. You've got Cale Edwards that, he's getting a lot of the talk where he is so quick and so fast and so athletic. You've got the Hayden Harris, the UCLA transfer. He's got 1 year. I think he's going to be really good.
He's 6'5", 252. So he's got some size, a little bit of size to him.
Exactly. So. And then you got Garrett Husted, who was there last year. At the end of the year, he started, I think, learning the defense and kind of getting his groove and really kind of showing what he could do. He's a great man-child. And then, those are the defensive ends that I've seen. Do you see anything different that I'm missing? Guys, you're going to see that McGorn's not there. He retired from injury. So that's a big hit for our defense.
Those are our 3. And then, you got Clay Oven. I don't know if he'll see much time this year, but that's our.
Yeah, he's a freshman. So yeah.
And I know that we usually don't play freshmen too much, but Cale, Hayden, and Garrett are all juniors. So again, that's why that depth I'm going, it really leans more to that 3-3-5 because of the depth that we have. So
Yep. And then you mentioned Luke, linebacker, right?
Yeah.
We just regroup, and so you've got Braxton Hill broke out last year and then got kind of hurt and banged up and kind of had the second half of the season wasn't as good as the first couple of games. Leva Janicaro, he's that leading tackler coming back. He had an amazing year last year. Didn't he have something like 89, 90 tackles last year? Amazing season. Is the 37. And then you got, guys that haven't gotten the start with Terrell, Flink. And then you've got.
I think Flink's going to be starting this year.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Flink's apparently had a really good camp. So.
Okay. I think, and I've heard that one of the guys that has had the best is Riley Wilson, the transfer from Hawaii.
Yeah, he's one that I'm really excited to see what he does. I've heard a lot of good things about that kid. So I'm excited to see him play and just see how he shows up out there.
Exactly. And then you got the Eric Osteen from the transfer from UCLA in there as well. And so those are the main guys. You've got a lot of guys behind there a couple of the guys that I'm excited to look for here in the next couple of years that we've actually done interviews with that are going to be awesome with Genatone and some of those guys that are young.
Well, the nice thing is a lot of those guys you'll see out on kickoff and special teams, and that's where you start noticing them. They're out there blowing people up and fired up. You're going, ooh, there's someone who's coming. Because, we saw like Janicaro's out there doing that hill, and next thing you know, they're starting linebackers. So, yeah.
That'll be awesome to see. Also, guys, one of the things, I don't underestimate the linebacking position. I just think it's going to be there because of how we do linebackers.
Yeah.
It's just my question is who's going to step up, right? We've had, and I don't think that it's not me saying that there's not, because for the last, 10, 15 years, you've always had a guy. And that's been the question. And somebody also just steps up. But it's just out of intrigue, who's going to step up? Who's going to be that guy that we're like, he's the face of the defense? Who's going to do it? Is Hill going to do it? He did it a little bit last year, got hurt. Janicaro had a great year last year, could do it. Wilson, the newcomer, Terrell and Flink.
You don't know. It'll be interesting to see who that guy is, because there's always every year someone surprises us, and it's awesome that we get that. I mean, we're so fortunate to. Just thinking about the linebackers that have come through here in the last few years, it's just like, how in the heck do we keep just rolling these guys out? And we're just fortunate to have guys like this, and they have that mentality where they're just, they're going out there going to blow teams up and just do everything they can for their teammates to win. So, it's going to be. I'm excited.
Yeah, exactly.
Poor Butler. They got some stuff. These boys are tired of hitting each other, and
that's gonna be a hard game. I really feel bad for those teams out of the Pioneer League where, they're not scholarship. A lot of those guys, and we'll get to their breakdown here. They're not big guys.
Yeah.
They are. Your quintessential. Their line's going to be 260, 270. So you're going to be outweighed 30, 35, 40 pounds. Which you don't see that initially, but by the second and third quarter, you start seeing it where people are tired and you just see open holes, which I just think that's going to happen. But you've got, and I just want to say Patrick O'Connell, linebacker, shout out to him. He is doing amazing work. Crossing my fingers that he gets on with the Seattle Seahawks.
I know Malik got waived today.
Which
was a bummer. But Patrick's still on the team, and he's been killing it out there.
He's been doing an amazing job.
Team and tackles and stuff. And so if anybody's got a shot to make the 53, I think Patrick will. And even with that, if he doesn't, when you're doing that well, someone's going to come and nab you up.
Yeah. So no, he's not. He's got to make a team with his preseason that he had. And I didn't want to get off on a tangent, but we were talking about linebackers, guys, and he's had a phenomenal year. So proud of him and how hard he's improved just off of the season that he had last year with getting hurt and all the things that he went through last year. Pete
Carroll's had some really good things to say about him. So he's he's getting noticed, and that's what you got to do, in the NFL is get noticed. So,
well, and I think Carroll kind of sees that too, because you got Brock Coyle, that was a Montana guy. I think he's kind of helped O'Connell as well.
I think so
and
too.
Coyle's a great guy. I've had him on the we've had him on the podcast, and a great listen as well. Didn't want to spend too much time on that, guys, but definitely go see the Seahawks play. Hopefully we'll see our guy out there. One of the mainstays, going back to just the season preview, guys, that is glaring to me, and Luke, you tell me if I'm hogwash or not, is the cornerback room, right? You lose Justin Ford. And he did a lot of things last year that, he didn't have the interceptions, but there's a lot of things that he brings. He brings that dog mentality.
He may not have had the interceptions, but he shut down half the field. It was kind of reminded me a lot when True was here, and people just didn't throw at him because they didn't want to get picked off. So
exactly.
It's hard to replace that. I mean, 3 All-Americans on defense. How do you do that? I mean, so we're fortunate we have a lot of good players.
Yeah.
My understanding is we got 4 cornerbacks right now. I think one of them was a safety that we made a cornerback, but
Ronald Jackson.
So, I mean, how do you replace a Ford? You don't. So hopefully the guys that are there can rotate through, stay fresh, and do a good job. And, the good thing is if the offense is putting a lot of points, well, that takes some ease off of everybody else. So,
well, and you've got the Big Sky where it's kind of different. It's kind of changed because, you got the early 90s and 2000s where it was just like a passing league. And now it's half the teams or more, if not more, run the ball heavy, right? So you're not gonna get challenged. You're gonna get challenged by Eastern Washington.
The team that scares me, I think, the most is probably Idaho, because they've got some talented receivers.
Oh yeah,
quarterback is I think personally, I think they're favored. For me, that's the team that could win the Big Sky is Idaho. I mean, over the Cats. I know everybody's the Cats, but I think Idaho, with the talent they're bringing back and what Eck did last year, they're the team that scares me probably the most out of everybody.
Yeah, and they've got 2 tremendous wide receivers that are getting all the talent. We'll see what happens with them. And one of the things that, if you look at our schedule, like what we've gone over, we don't play Eastern Washington.
Yeah.
And so that really, if we would have had to play them, I would have been really leery of not going to that 9-2, but that 8-3.
I still think Eastern's building. I think they're going to be down this
year. I do too. But I just think just with that glaring cornerback area. Yeah. And guys, just to let you know, we've got Corbin Walker. He's the returning leader in that cornerback room. It feels like he's been there forever. And I believe he's a senior this year. What Luke had said, he's Ronald Jackson. He's the Akron transfer that was a safety, but they switched him to cornerback this year. They have Lamar Campbell. He's the Washington State / Santa Barbara Community College transfer. Jelani Warren is the UCLA transfer. Yep. And then you've got Trevin Gradney, who, from all accounts, what I've heard is they're hoping he kind of takes that position.
I've heard Gradney had a really good camp. So
yeah,
I've heard a lot of good stuff about Gradney. So
if we can kind of get him to take those reins, and you got those other transfers that may not have seen.
And you were right, Corbin is a senior this year.
Yeah. Those other guys that may not have seen experience in those situations, because the transfers, Lamar Campbell and Jelani Warren did not see the field. Right. And then Ronald Jackson, I think he showed in Akron as a safety. So you got 3 guys there that haven't played a down of cornerback.
So we'll see how they show up, I guess, this weekend.
Exactly.
I'm glad we're playing a team like Butler. I mean,
and their quarterback's pretty good, though.
Yeah, I know. Not to say anything bad about Butler, but it's still, if you're going to play a non-scholarship team, that's usually beneficial to you.
Yeah, exactly. A lot. Just looking at that room, we have a lot of transfers. Will those transfers stick? Bobby has done really well in the transfer portal, where a lot of those transfers have stuck. Is this the year? Just being the devil in the details. Is this the year that it doesn't? It could still, but one of these years it's not, and hopefully you have guys that kind of rise to the occasion and pick up the slack.
Yeah.
And so also just that cornerback room with the defense that we play, they are a lot of times on the island of one-on-one.
Yep.
And so if you do not have those quarterbacks, you can't pressure those wide receivers and do what you need to do and get the pressure from the linebackers. And so it's a very important spot where we have to be able to play our defense that we want to play.
I'm optimistic because I know when Ford came in, we'd heard whispers that he was going to be good. And then next thing you know, it was this streak of picking people off. And, the whole biggest guy's going, who's this guy? So you never know. It'll be interesting to see how they show up and stuff. And sometimes, you take that guy and switch from safety to corner and he just fits too. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I think we're a lot better suited rather than in the past we had to take wide receivers and go, hey, go play corner now. You've never played in your entire life. So
I'd rather take
players, that kind of get that side of the ball. So
I'd rather take safeties than wide receivers. And you know what though? But they did a pretty darn good job though.
Well, they did.
And then guys, the last defensive side of the ball, you've got safeties. You've got three guys that have played downs. You've got Trajan Cotton, Nash Fouch, and Garrett Graves. Those guys, I don't have a worry in the world. Those guys are legit. Trajan Cotton, I think, is somebody that does not get the recognition that he is. He is a downhill hitter.
I feel like he hasn't felt like he's had his breakout yet.
No,
I think he is just looking to show like who I am and make his stamp on Griz Nation. And I'm hoping that that's what happens this year. So
it's going to be interesting to see who fills in that spot that Robbie had, who fits that who actually does that. They've got a tremendous amount of safeties on the squad. Oh my gosh, that it is crazy. But then also just who behind that develops, right? So those guys, if I'm not mistaken, Trajan's a senior. I think Nash Fouch is a senior, and I think Garrett Graves is a senior. You never know. You never know if those guys will get a NCAA waiver where they'll play one more year, just with how crazy pandemic years and all that stuff has happened, and then injuries and stuff like that. But I do believe Garrett Graves already
a redshirt senior.
Yeah.
Fouch is a redshirt senior, and so is Graves. They're all redshirt seniors. So
they've already used their redshirt. So pretty much this is their last year.
This is it for them. Yeah.
So they've got to develop that on the back side of that safety room. So it's gonna be an interesting year, man. I feel I'm glad that football's back, and I see some great things with this team. I don't think they're gonna have the glaring eyes on them where you're gonna say, oh, they're gonna be a top 10 team. But
Jackson Lee, he's the other one that I've been hearing good things on.
Yep.
So we could see him kind of break out. I'm excited to see what he can do. He's just a junior, so.
Isn't Clue Switch on there too? Isn't he a safety, or is he a wide Clue Switch?
I'm looking real quick here.
I think he's a safety. Clue Switch, or he might be a cornerback. He's a Missoula. I think it's a Missoula kid.
Yeah, because Jackson Lee was out of Sentinel, my old alma mater. But no, he must be a corner because I don't see him on the safety. So,
but with Montana not being that we're always going to get everybody's best, right? We're going to, if we are playing a team, they're going to want to make a mockery of us and say, oh, we beat you, right?
Yeah.
But going into this, I think the polls have had us anywhere from 13 to 16 kind of range, where I think that's
the highest I've seen is 10. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's 10 was the highest I saw. But
so I think that's going to be good for us to have a chip on our shoulder to go prove to people like, hey, no, we're Montana. We expect to be in the top 5 and semifinals and championship. Is this what is going to happen? I think our schedule is going to be not easy, but it favors us.
It is a favorable schedule this year.
Yeah.
I agree. Especially we should. I mean, like I said, I feel like we should win the first 5.
Exactly. Well, and that's what we said last year, though.
And if we do that, well, that sets us up to having that's a top matchup because Davis will probably. I haven't looked at their schedule, but they're going to be ranked 2 still. So
yeah, look that up, bro.
Boy, it'd sure be nice being 6-0 going to the Idaho game. that would be ideal.
Oh
that's
man,
happen around, I don't know, but I mean,
and that game, if you guys don't know, that game is on ESPN too. And so I ESPN is probably just like hoping for that too.
Oh yeah, if you're on ESPN, I'm going. Come on, Montana and Idaho, be undefeated going to the Little Brown Stein game.
Yeah,
that's just going to put more eyes on it. It's good for everything, but
UC Davis plays Texas A&M Commerce.
Okay,
which I think that, if I'm not mistaken, is a newly FCS school that was D2, which I've heard a lot of good things.
Okay,
and then they play Oregon at Oregon State. And then they play Southern Utah, Eastern Washington, Cal Poly.
So their toughest game. I mean, it doesn't matter what happens in the FBS game. If they win that, that's awesome for them. If they lose it, no big deal.
Yeah, but and I don't think
Eastern
they're going to be
Oregon probably State. Is their toughest one. Would be is probably
yeah. So they're probably 3-1 going into that game. 3-1.
Yeah.
Which, you really can't fault them with that one loss to an Oregon State team
who
is going to be a legit team this year with what they did last year.
I want to say they're 14th or something. They're going to be top 25. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, the key is for us is if we can keep health.
Yes,
that's been one of our,
knock on wood
is not keeping our quarterback healthy. So knock on wood.
Yep.
He stays, both of them, whoever it is, stays healthy and can lead the team, lead the offense. It's should be one of the top offenses in the nation this year.
It should be. We've got the talent. Let's see if we can actually do it. So, hey guys, let's go into Butler real quick. I wrote some things down for Butler. You really don't want to hear this. Their quarterback, Brett Bushka.
Yep.
5'10", 205. I'm trying to pull up all the accolades that he has. It is ridiculous what he has. Last year, 2022,
he's good.
23 running. He had 126 running attempts for basically 627 yards, 5 touchdowns. Passing, he was 205 of 317. 2,300 yards, a little over 2,300 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. So he's a pretty good quarterback.
And he was the Pioneer Offensive Player of the Year, first team selection, first team All Pioneer. He was again on the Walter Payton Award watch list. He's also an academic honor roll.
Yep.
The guy's good. He's an RPO quarterback but he can run it and pass it. So
exactly.
He's a legit quarterback, and we've got to take care of him. Otherwise, it could be a long day.
Well, I would hit him often and early so that it kind of gets the thought of actually running, because he has to deal with those linebackers. Because if you don't get him under control, it could be a long day.
Well, and that's where our offense keeping him on the sidelines is going to really benefit us.
Yep. So, their running back going, and thank you for Luke for having that, because I couldn't find it as fast as my internet's kind of winky wonky, man. But running back Joey Suchi, 109 attempts, 441 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That's who I could find as their leading running back coming back. Their wide receivers, Tyler Adams and Luke Wooten.
I think their main running back graduated last year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so their wide receivers, it was really interesting. They had a redshirt freshman one of their leading wide receivers coming back, which I don't know if he just had a great last end of games, but that Luke Wooten was a redshirt freshman, 58 receptions, 657 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And then Tyler Adams, 39 receptions and 689 yards and 5 touchdowns. So, if you look at just like what they have coming back, a lot of their offense is their quarterback. And so it'll be interesting to see who steps up for them in the running back wide receiver room to see how they use the Bushka. Because I think if they don't have that in place, it's going to be a long day for Bushka. And it's just going to be him doing that himself.
And they do bring back their whole offensive line too. Like that group is all back. So that's that's big. And I don't care what size they are. You bring that whole unit back. That's just one more year of them being cohesive and playing together better. So
and they don't have to worry about coming up with the running backs. They can just open up holes like they were last year. So,
well, and a lot of times we like to say, okay, Butler, they're Pioneer. Welcome to Washington Grizzly. They did play at South Dakota State last year. Not that South Dakota State is Washington Grizzly, but they're starting to get the fans and all that stuff. And so, it's still a long ways. They're coming from Indianapolis. I've got some people I know in Indianapolis, and I told them we're playing Butler, and they were like, "Oh, you guys should kill him." I was like, "Well, I'm not going to say that yet, but I'm hoping so."
Yeah. you never like
Indianapolis people don't have a lot of faith in them.
No,
but
ever since that Coastal Carolina game where we got wiped, I was just like, "What in the world?"
No,
you can't overlook Carolina came in, was freezing out, and we lost. It was crazy.
Well, we can't overlook anybody, and these guys aren't gonna. I mean, they've been prepping for Butler, and I still think we're gonna win and win sizably, is my opinion. But
I think so too. I just don't see it.
We got to keep that quarterback under. I mean, he's good. He's he's a great athlete.
Yep.
The fact that he's playing for non-scholarship Butler, I mean, he could be playing elsewhere easily.
Oh, easily. FC. I'm surprised he has not gotten scooped up. Being a scholarship team, why would you and maybe he loves Butler University. It is probably a great university, but their football team doesn't get scholarships. Like, why would you stay? You could go to FCS school over in Indianapolis over there, Western Illinois, any of those MVC schools over in that area would probably love to have them. So, defensive side, guys, they've got 3 leading tacklers coming back. They've got Connor Reed, which is really interesting is all their returning tacklers. And I know you can't really take too much off of that, but their leading tacklers coming back are all the quarterbacks. Connor Reed, 44 tackles, 1 interception. Nick Baffia, 41 tackles, and then Will Mason, 43 tackles and 2 interceptions. So I couldn't find any guys that were after the top 3 that weren't cornerbacks. And so it would be interesting to see what happens with that. If you do kind of like a breakdown with their points, I think that who they played kind of affected their point spread. Because they were only averaging about 27 points a game. Opponents were averaging about 22. They were more pass heavy with 217 yards per game and 161 rushing yards. Third down percentage was pretty good with 42%.
Well, I think their number 1 rusher is Brett Bushka. I think their quarterback is their number 1 rusher too. So.
Yeah, their leading rusher coming back. Yeah. They did allow 15 sacks last year. And they fumbled 16 times. That's nice to know.
Let's hope they still want to put the ball on the turf. That would
would
make things fun in Washington Grizzly.
Exactly. 36 of the 37 times, and there was 36 out of, I can't read my own handwriting. Gosh, wow. There are 36 of, I think that says 57. It might be 47. I can't read it. I was writing late at night. But only 26 of those 36 attempts were touchdowns.
Sure.
And so that was very similar to the opponents, which you kind of get with that. So, they were looking at 379 yards of total offense. So, it's not a bad offense by any means. It's pretty average to maybe a little above average. Well,
Bobby was saying the presser today that it reminded him of Air Force a little bit, where they're, run pass option. I mean, it's kind of that hopefully not triple option kind of crap that no one likes having to defend.
No.
So, but we'll see. Their defense has to put up with our offense too. So, that's where I think we're going to put on a little bit of a show this weekend. Is the offense will.
Yeah, and you just hope that the offense can put enough points up so that your defense can kind of get.
Well, the defense will feed off that. Offense starts scoring like that, man. You start feeding off it. Your jack as the offense is, putting points up and stuff. And then next thing you know, you're like, well, I don't want to let any points come up. So that's where I'm hoping they just feed off each other. And next thing you know, we're getting to see a bunch of young kids play because it's out of hand. So
exactly. I think that we've got a lot of good things going for us this year. Butler's just the start, guys. It is going to be. I think it's isn't it a noon kickoff? It's like one of our only noon kickoffs.
Noon. Yeah, it is noon kickoff. So
that's kind of a cool
noon
thing.
On ESPN Plus.
There you go. And
or I think SWX too if you're in Montana. So
exactly. Luke, this is just kind of off the board, but how have you liked the ESPN?
I love it.
I do too.
And my buddies that live out a lot of us aren't fortunate to live in Montana anymore. So
exactly.
It has made it so much easier to watch the Griz. And then too, I guess what I love too is that I can rewatch it if I want to.
Exactly.
And then watch, other Big Sky games. It's just the signing with ESPN Plus was huge. I'm so glad that we're doing it. And then too, because of that, that's why we're getting these ESPN2 games and stuff. That's huge for recruiting. The fact that the recruits can see us too when they need to, all that stuff adds up. So I love it. I mean, especially there's I think it might be the Dang Davis game where I have to be at a wedding this year.
Oh no.
And, I'll have my phone so I can watch that game. So it's like,
is it a family member?
A close friend of mine who actually is a University of Montana grad, and I'm like, "What are you scheduling your wedding? Go on the bye week. What are you doing?"
Elope.
So I'm sure we'll have that game on at the reception. So
there you go. So I think this is the great time to kind of go over some fan questions. eGriz, we've had some, and then also on this live broadcast, we've had some as well. Off of eGriz, beware of the D. He's a faithful listener. Said, hey guys, fan of the pod, excited to hear what you guys have going on. Here are some questions for you. So he's got about 6 here. So, some of them I think we've kind of gone over, but overall thoughts about our spot in the coaches and media polls, which I think we're
right where we need to be. What happened last year with us being 2 and kind of not living up to it doesn't surprise me that we're in that 10 to 14 spot. So,
well, and if you look at the Big Sky, like the coaches poll and the media poll kind of are, and if you're just looking at us, like we were picked 2 or 3 in the media poll, and we were picked 6 in the coaches poll. Like, honestly, you can't go off. You can't fault people for doing that. Also, we have a lot of new coaches in the Big Sky.
Coaches. Yeah.
And also we have, like, if you look at where we've finished 3, 4, or 5 in the Big Sky the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. We haven't proven it. So
no. And
this is a prove it year.
Yeah. And if you look at 2 through 6, those teams aren't far apart.
No,
you're looking at. Sorry, I'm gonna cough.
No, you're talking Montana State, Idaho, Sac State, Weber State, UC Davis, and the Griz.
Yeah,
and I mean they're all real close to each other.
Yeah,
it's after that where you get the bigger gap. Those 6 teams, you're right. They're all going to be in the thick of it, and all beating the crap out of each other in the Big Sky. I mean, personally, I think between Missouri Valley and Big Sky, those are 2 best conferences in the league this year.
And honestly, you're not going to, and this is just my thought process, you're not always going to get the best team because we do not play a round robin style Big Sky. It's going to be heavy on who you play this year. And so who you play and who's playing and how you're playing is going to see you rise in the standings or fall in the standings. So I think we've earned what we've got this year. You don't really earn your media poll, you earn it from the last year. And if you look at where we finished last year, we're not top 3 by any means.
Well, and all we got to do is go out there and prove it. And you can take that 14, and the next thing you know, be up in the top.
Yeah.
If we get it done like we should, and let's say we go and beat Davis and Idaho, you do that, we're going to be right up there in the top 5. Easily.
Definitely.
So
definitely.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, to see what happens here.
His second question, I know we haven't gotten to, is Coach Houck on the hot seat? Do you think he is the coach that can get us the natty? I honestly don't think he's on the hot seat this year. I think he's done what he has to do to not be on the hot seat with moving coaches around. I think if he has another season like he did last year where it didn't meet expectations, I think he might be on the hot seat. It is a contract year, which is kind of interesting. If they don't do well this year, do they just do a 1 year and see what happens? I think if they try to do a 1 year, I could totally see how just saying, nope, whatever, you don't have the faith in me, I'm gone. And just being, how Houck is, and so I don't know. I think it's a really important year for Griz football. If they don't get back to it, it kind of depends on the trenches. And I've said that for a while. If we don't win the trenches, we're not going to be in the top 4. And so this is our first year where I truly think that we do have the front 4, front 5, and the guys behind to back that up.
Yeah. Well, so last year was a disappointment. That's what that's where people are going, is Houck on the hot seat. Now, let's look at that, though. I mean, we got Sac State. We should have won. Lucas gets hurt, and we're right there. And calls at the end, questionable. Weber State, we should have won that game, too. Chris Brown didn't play up to expectations, in my opinion. The coaching was terrible that game. But if Lucas plays in both of those games, let's say we win them, people aren't going, oh, that was a disappointment, even if we lose to North Dakota State up there. It just changes the whole aspect. It was just that we come in ranked so high, expected to win Big Sky, and we don't do any of that stuff. That's why people are like, hey, is Bobby on the hot seat? Again, like I've said a few times, this is a prove it year. We got to go out and prove it. Our schedule's advantageous to us, so we just need to go out and do it. And damn it, beat the damn Cats. We can't freaking lose those guys anymore, especially at home. So we were embarrassed last year, and
I think that's a lot of those questions come into play is us losing the state. And unfortunately, I don't think it's just on one front. I think, we're losing it enrollment wise. We're losing it in degree wise.
I don't know about enrollment. I mean, they maybe have more, but I know we've been up. Like
we've been up. Yeah.
We've been up the last 4 years, and I thinking we're going to be up again this year. So Botner's doing an awesome job. Like that guy is. I think we're so lucky to have Botner as president, and I think enrollment's going to keep going. But we got to win to keep the in-state kids coming in. We got to win that state battle.
Yeah, and I just think that with Bobby, I think he's a good enough coach. I just think that with some things in the program, I think things have to change. I think that to get the fan base, you're going to have those diehards, right? I'm going to watch no matter what. But if you don't get yourself out there, the media is, and if you look at Colton Nuanez, like he's even said, the Griz you can't get a hold of them. You can't do what you can with the Cats instead of the Griz. I wish that they would allow a little bit more in-depth look at what's going on. And I know that's kind of going back to the late or the early 2010s, 2011s with what happened. I think that kind of stems from that.
Sure.
But with with how college football is and it based off of social media, I think you can gain a whole lot more with your department with social media and your other entities to kind of do a little bit more in that instance. And so I think that's where fans are seeing, oh, well, the Cats are doing this, the Cats are doing this, the Cats are doing this, the Grizz are doing this. And you just feel lost where you're just like, well, what are we doing?
Well, I will say, I feel like our social media presence over the last 6 months has been a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
Keaton Johnson's really throwing the recruiting stuff out there with the Sharks, and now his new stuff with the Cannon. And then Houck allowing that FCS, who was it? They
FCS campus or whatever.
Came in.
Yeah.
He opened up in their interviews and talked to him. Yep. They filmed our guys float in the river. I mean, all that stuff was such good press. I was like, wow, I was surprised they let him do it. And
I was surprised that they took a day off and they floated the river as a team. That was really
well. Cool. They practiced that morning and they got to float in the afternoon.
Yeah, but still, you don't really see that from Houck.
That's I think that was a good team building exercise and just giving them a little break from beating the heck out of each other and stuff. Yep. So. And that cold water in the river is going to help get your legs back too. So,
oh gosh, man.
That's. I feel like we're way far from where we could be, but I see progress, which is positive. So I'm excited to see some of that progress that we're starting to do a little more social media recruiting. You're seeing more things and stuff. So it's better than it was, but it could always be better.
Exactly. And I think that you get some. And Keaton has been amazing, and I really shout out to him, and letting him do that because we
needed a guy like that, and he's doing a really good job. So
he is, and it's up from here. I hope that we continue to grow in those areas, but I can see why Griz Nation is kind of upset.
Yeah.
But his next question is, which player whose name we may not know that well will make significant impact on this team? Do you want to do defense and I do offense, or do you want to do offense and defense, or what do you want to do? Or do you just have one? You throw one out, and I'll see if I throw the same one out.
Okay. Jackson Lee.
Okay.
Is on defense. I really think he's going to break out. And then, I think on the D line, Cale Edwards. I think that
awesome.
He was hurt last year a lot, and if Matt Kidd can stay healthy, I mean, I stood next to him when I was on the sidelines last year, and he is a mountain of a man. I was like, "Damn, dude!" I was like, "I'm feeling small over here, and I'm not a very small man." So I think those two on defense, and then Wilson too. Just he's new, but people kind of hear his name, but those three are really, I think, could show us some stuff this year on defense.
Yeah, offensive wise, guys, I think, Sam Vidlak, I think, is going to be, and I think people have heard his name, but I think you're going to hear his name a lot. Mm-hmm. I truly think that Fonz is going to have a huge year. You've heard his name, but you haven't seen it. You've seen the plays where he's jumped over people. I think you're going to see a whole lot more of that. And then I totally agree with Luke that Ryan Simpson's going to have a huge year. It might not be yards. I think it's going to be touchdowns in the red zone. I truly think he's going to have a big year with that aspect.
He's such a mismatch down there that, I think you're right. And the other one, just because I'm going to throw a shout out to the line, is Grimsrud. I think you saw him take over last year. I really think that we're going to see even more progression from him, is my thought, this year, and just really see him shine.
Well, one of the guys that I think, and I don't think I said this, one of the guys that I hope develops a little bit more is Brandon Casey.
That guy's he's an FBS talent.
Oh yeah. But when he got recruited by Oregon State and stuff like that, if he kind of gets more development in it's hard. As a freshman, he was thrown in there.
Yeah, if both those dudes step up, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Have that right side of that line up to the left side of the line.
Oh, yeah.
Man. Ooh. Imagine those trenches and the Brawl of the Wild. Oh my gosh, man. I don't care about anything else. I'm just watching the lines, man.
I'm looking this name up too. That other kid, that Evan Schaefer, 6'5", 278 tight end that just came in. He's another one that been hearing some things out of camp that, watch out. So it may not be catching the ball. It's maybe blowing people up to give our running backs lanes to go. So,
and I don't know if this is just me with the tight end group or just like hoping that we had Grossman, but man, if you get Olsen in there, 6'7", and he can show his passing ability, because he was a really good tight end in high school at Butte.
Mm-hmm.
Very good tight end.
Yeah.
I think, man,
254.
Jeez,
we got some
guys, and he's not done growing. Like that's 6'7". There's a lot of weight that can be put on there.
Down there, man. It's going to be on our offense. So
yeah.
And then these are guys that we think might break out. There could be a whole small other people that just blow up. We're like, look at this guy. So it's exciting for sure.
And then this fourth one that he had, based on the schedule, what will the overall record be? I think we kind of already hit that. Who will be the MVP on offense and defense? I think it's going to be someone from the running back room, honestly.
Or
Vidlac. I think that's going to be your fonts.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so hard because you don't know what they're going to be running. Like offensively wise, like if it is a pass oriented, it'll be Vidlac.
Yeah.
So if it's not, if they're going to be running two tight end schemes where they're adding two tight ends to the line, it's going to be a running back.
That's a great point, because we don't know what Pease is going to, what Bobby's going to like. Okay, because we've seen. I mean, Pease has had run offenses where they can throw it all over the field. And we just don't know what they're going to do. So, that's a great question that we could maybe answer after this game or the next. Exactly. We just, with two new coordinators, we're not sure what they're gonna show. And Bobby's never going to show his hand until the game.
No.
I mean,
he won't show it until the playoffs.
They were trying their dangest to ask him today at the presser, and I was just like, they always try every year. And it's like, come on, he ain't going to give you anything.
I watch those just to laugh, because I'm like, who's going to get eaten alive by Bobby?
I love him. I love watching him just. Well, tell us about the quarterback at the Butler. He's left-handed. He's not left-handed. He's right-handed. I was like.
Or him just like yelling at Tabor for something that he's not doing or something like that. It
cracks me up. It's like like watching Belichick or something.
Oh, it is. It is. Belichick or Saban's the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 5, best bar in Missoula. I can't really answer that one.
Well, I'll go for there.
Because I haven't really been out in Missoula very much.
Well, I can't answer it for like right now, but when I was there, I was always part of the bodega. I worked there for a while. Stocks is always great. Nowadays, a lot of us go to Reds. Davis, Ryan Davis was bartending back then. But then there's always the Mo Club. I mean, you can't go wrong with the Mo Club, getting a Mo burger and stuff. So those are my top. I was never really a big fan of the Iron Horse, but that's just me. It wasn't my crowd. So,
I haven't really been to the bar scene, man. I don't know. I hope to be there sometime. But that was his last question on there. Let's get some questions on the comment section here. If you see one that I don't see.
They were asking about like Ferris State and stuff, which we'll talk more about. I mean, if we've seen tape, I've heard a lot about them. I know that they're a dang good D2 school, and we can't overlook those guys. And it's that game can only hurt us. So we just have to go out and take care of business.
And that's what scares me. It might be a 40-22 win, and people are going to say, well, you only beat them by 18 points. If you don't beat a team down that looks like that, then you're going to look bad. Like no matter what, it's a lose-lose situation for us.
Yeah. They could go on and win every game besides us, and it's still always D2.
Exactly. This Facebook user said, and I didn't know your name, but it just says Facebook user on here, guys. Yeah. Is he going to get back, or is Bobby Hauck going to get his first stint winning ways against Montana State, or has the power in Montana shifted? Well, it already has shifted right now because, and I hate to say this, but it has. We haven't met what expectations we've had. The Cats have gone to a national championship and a semifinal.
Yeah.
So we haven't been close to that. We've been only to the quarterfinals. So has it shifted permanently? No, I don't think so. It can always be slammed back the other way. But yeah, right now they have that. They have the winning ways right now.
Yeah, we need to go prove it.
Yeah,
we gotta go when they come into Washington Grizzly. We gotta prove that we're Montana and that the state belongs to us. So
exactly. The Facebook user, I don't know if it's the same one, but it says, as Montana fans, is it difficult to see other FCS Blue Bloods continue to move on to the FBS? It scares me, man. Like, seriously, losing JMU, losing Georgia Southern, like, and all this realignment.
Kennesaw State leaving, who wasn't even here for that long. And then with the Pac-12 the Pac-4
right
now, it's
and I heard that they might be moving to the ACC.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's all about money and greed, and it's crazy. The good thing is, we've got teams like North Dakota State, South Dakota State, the neighbors, us that are all there. I mean, it's good that Idaho's all of a sudden, playing well and stuff. I mean, that helps the FCS. So, I mean, we're fortunate to be where we're at. I mean, I can't imagine what Washington State and Oregon State are thinking. I mean, I can't think of not having the Apple Cup and the Civil War. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Well, I think
the Rose Bowl now. It's like, what? That's the granddaddy of them all. I mean, I'm sure they'll make it into one of the playoff games or something like that. But it's like, it's just, I mean, to lose all that tradition just for money. I mean, I guess money, that's what makes the world go around. So,
well, and soon, like, and this is kind of off topic, but like, soon you're just going to have, it's going to be an NFL type system where like all these schools are positioning themselves to be in that NFL system where football is going to be its own entity. Yeah. And it's going to feed the other sports, but those sports, this is what I think they should have done. Like other sports do this, like college baseball does this, college hockey of a university, but they might not be affiliated with a certain conference. Yeah. But like you can't honestly say, okay, USC women's or UCLA women's soccer. Yeah. You're going to go play Rutgers.
Well, yeah, I had the exact same conversation with my wife. I was like, it's pardon my bullshit what the football's doing to these other sports.
Exactly.
They have these way more grueling schedules. Like you think about volleyball transferring all over the place to play all these schools across they're going over the East Coast now. Yeah. And then the track teams, and it's like just because of football. I mean, I know that football generally pays for the rest of them, but I mean, I feel bad for all those other kids. Now
volleyball is kind of it's safeguarded with that because a lot of their because for the Griz, I don't know about other teams, but volleyball and softball, they play like softball, they play half their games away because of the weather. But with also volleyball, they play in these tournaments. Half of their non-camp are tournaments. Like we just had one, which is amazing. And hopefully next
before the conference schedule starts. Once
exactly
starts, and that's I'm saying them conference games. That's where it's like they're flying from one end of the country to the other, and it's just like that's hard on a student athlete.
Exactly,
and you're expected to get good grades and study and all that stuff. It's that's why I'm like, it doesn't feel like the universities thought about that side of it.
Oh no, they thought about money.
100% football and TV deal and money, and it's just it's stupid. So
it's stupid. But do you if you look at money wise, the Big Ten to the Pac-12, whatever you want to call it, like if you look at we're gonna get maybe I heard 25, maybe 18 million, depending on subscribers. And you're looking at the Big Ten where you're looking at 75 to 100 million.
Yeah.
That's what you can't, that's huge.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I'd heard people were like, oh, the Pac-12 is going to pick apart the Mountain West. Well, every Mountain West school, I believe, is getting 45 million for their TV contract. And
Really?
that's better than what the Pac-12 was getting. So why the heck would they leave? It's like,
Yeah, I heard they were getting about 7.
also, I heard it was. I mean, I could be wrong, but I heard it was like 45 million is what they're getting for. Maybe that's divided.
Wow.
Maybe that's the whole TV contract, and it's
Okay.
divided up between all the Mountain West. That could be what it is.
Okay.
Well, that's a lot of money.
That's still, yeah.
Whatever it was, I heard it was better than what the Pac-12 was getting, and so
Jeez.
why would they leave?
Yeah. Yeah. It does scare me, if one of these blue bloods like North Dakota State or South Dakota State moves on, I always have been a proponent of, well, if one of those blue bloods leave, we need to leave too.
Yeah.
And people will say, well, then you're not playing for championships. We haven't really been playing four championships for 13 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Like
I want to go to different bowl games every year. So
yeah,
it wouldn't be so bad.
But like, if you look at if we went to the Mountain West, like I would totally pay money to go see Montana play San Diego State, or Montana play, like, I'm in Wyoming, so I would love to see Montana just demolish Wyoming.
Go down to Laramie, yeah.
Oh yeah, or even go up to Missoula and just watch it, because I could just have bragging rights with all the people that think that Wyoming football is the best. And oh my gosh. Anyways, so I just think it's kind of a scary time right now.
Yeah.
I love the FCS and what it looks like. I truly think that you're just going to have 3 tiers of football, and each one's going to have its playoff, and it's just going to be like what you're going to be playing for.
Yeah, you'll have that. Well, we'll just call it the Power 5, whatever the heck that turns out to be. Your group of 5, and then the FCS is what it feels like it's going to turn out to be to me.
Yep.
And then each will have its own championship, but
yeah,
that's just theory.
Yep. So. Let's see. Do we have any other? I think that's it. Do you see anything else? Okay. Well, if we did not get your question, or if we skipped it or anything like that, or if you didn't hear something, make sure you get on to Twitter, get on to Instagram, hit us up at Fight on Montana. We would love to hear from you. Also, guys, if you are listening on Apple, totally give us a rate, a 5-star review, and give us a review. That helps us out tremendously with the algorithms that they have there, and getting us out there to other Griz Nation people. So definitely give us a review and a 5-star rating there. And we love to hear from you. Hopefully one of these days we can get like a Griz Nation, like have like 5 or 6 different people on here. I think that would be kind of cool.
That'd be cool.
But we're gonna be doing one every week. We're gonna be trying to have them out by Tuesday, hopefully maybe even Monday. We'll have to talk, Luke. I don't know what schedules look like. We're busy people too, so we'll definitely keep you updated on Instagram and also Twitter and when we're recording. You can also probably find us. I try to leave a little eGriz post on there too when we're recording, and if you have any questions as well. So get us a hold there. And any last thoughts, Luke?
No, I'm excited for this weekend, and it kind of snuck up on me. It was like, oh crap, it's here, So
sorry,
that's all right.
I thought it was another question. I was like, oh,
that was me trying to answer somebody. So I'm excited to see, because it's we kind of think we know what we got, but we don't know until we see it on Saturday and see what the new schemes are the coaches are running, and see how the players do. And our new quarterbacks, they're the shiny new toys. So let's see what they can do.
Exactly. Well, it's crazy. You just said it. Like, it feels like, a couple months ago, or it feels like yesterday, that we were losing to North Dakota State, and we were talking about what it could be, and then summer hits and it's gone, and it's like, we got football. We got football this week.
This is the best time of the year, right?
Oh my gosh.
It's like Christmas every Saturday.
Exactly. Well, guys, again, make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Also, we are part of the FCS Fans Nation network on YouTube. If you don't want to listen to us, if you want to listen to other podcasts, there's some great podcasts. They also have their national show as well that they do on there as well. So definitely go check them out. And we will see you and check you next week, hopefully with a win.
Yep. Big old W.
Big old W. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.